Hi everyone, my name's Brent and I'm one of the keepers here at the Toronto Zoo. And right now we're here in our Invertebrate Breeding Center, or as we like to call it, our bug house. Invertebrates are a group of animals that have no backbone. We have a backbone, you can feel it especially in between your shoulder blades, but invertebrates have actually no bones at all. And right now I am holding a giant African land snail. Come up and give you a closer view. This is one of the largest snail species in the world. They come from East Africa, and he's a little bit shy, but you can see he's sticking his eye stalks out there to check everything out. These snails are, they're omnivores. They eat both plants and animal matter. But they are usually eating dead things. They're eating leaves that have fallen to the forest floor. They're eating dead animals that they might find there. And as a result, they play a really important role in their ecosystem because they help keep all of that dead stuff from piling up. If the snails weren't around, we could be drowning in dead material. And so the snails in their native habitat are really great for keeping things clean. But the problem is their appetites are so enormous that they've been introduced to a few other places on the globe, and they actually become a really big pest because they will eat things that people don't really want them to. So I'm going to put this guy back away with his friend in this container, and we're going to move on to another really big invertebrate who's very different. Now this here is a giant bird-eating spider from South America. Spiders have a different body plan than snails because you can see they have legs, but they have a different body plan from us as well. We have 2 arms and 2 legs, whereas spiders always have 8 legs. Now, also different from us as humans is that spiders, their legs don't have bones on the inside. They have essentially a shell or skeleton on the outside, which is called an exoskeleton. And that skeleton keeps everything in place within the spider, but it also prevents the spider from growing. And so when a young spider is trying to get bigger, they actually have to grow a second, softer skin inside of their exoskeleton and then crawl out of that exoskeleton in order to get bigger. And here, I have an exoskeleton from this spider. You can see she's popped off her back and then crawled out, pulled her legs out from these holes. And once they pulled out, they can get bigger before that shell hardens again. Now, inside this exoskeleton would be where all their organs are, and how they're able to survive is all protected within this shell. Now, don't let the name fool you. Although their name says bird eating, they don't actually eat birds. They are primarily insect eaters. And giant bird-eating spiders live on the ground. They usually make little burrows. And instead of the spiders that we have, that you're probably most familiar with, that spin big webs that catch things, these large spiders are actually ambush predators, meaning that they just stay in their burrow and wait for an insect to come by, and then they rush out and grab it. Now, one of their really cool adaptations is they have massive fangs basically at the front of their face that they use to grab onto and pierce their prey. And when they do that, they actually inject their prey with venom. And venom is kind of like poison, and it digests or breaks down their prey from the inside. So they catch their prey, they stick it with their fangs, and then they wait. And slowly that insect's insides turn to goo, and then the spider basically sticks what they have, one of their mouth parts is basically like a straw in, and then they suck out all of that yummy goodness. Now, as predators, these guys help keep the natural balance of their ecosystem. Bird-eating spiders are primarily found in Brazil, which is in South America. And they're one of the largest species, so they can handle some of the largest prey that spiders eat. Now, we have snails in Canada, we have spiders in Canada, but we have a lot of our native insects which are actually endangered here. And one of those I have here is a native bumblebee. Now, this bumblebee passed away last fall, but she was part of a breeding program here at the zoo because these bumblebees are so endangered they really need our help. Now, this bumblebee, she's quite large, which is typical for a bumblebee. And you can see she's got lots of, it looks like fur all over her body, and that's one of the characteristics of these native bumblebees. Bumblebees are not social like, say, honeybees, so they don't live in a hive. They live by themselves, and they fly from flower to flower collecting nectar from those flowers, which is what they eat. Now, as they're flying from flower to flower, all of those little hairs on their body collect pollen, which are those tiny grains of yellow that the flowers produce. And because the bees pick them up on their bodies, when they land on another flower, some of that pollen will fall off. And that's really important for our native plants because the pollen is one of the really key ingredients for flowers to make seeds. And without the bees, the flowers can't survive. But without the flowers, the bees can't survive. So one of the ways that you can help our native bumblebees is by planting a wildflower garden with native plants. And that will provide habitat for the bees and also help our own ecosystem regenerate or grow again. So thank you so much for joining me here today in our invertebrate breeding center or bug house. I've had a lot of fun sharing some cool facts about our land snails and our tarantula and our bumblebees. I hope you've had as good a time as I have, and I hope to see you again soon.